If you enjoyed the channel and our video content and would like to support us, you can do this in a couple of ways. You can sign up to our Patreon site, which is a monthly subscription to one of our 4 tiers, each giving you something different from early access interviews up to exclusive unseen footage. There's also the option of a one-off donation via PayPal, which allows you the option to donate an amount of your choice. Both options really help to keep this channel going and to continue putting out regular content for you good folk. So please take a look at aircrewinterview.tv/donate, and I thank you in advance. Thank you and enjoy. And one of our favourite subjects, because I'm going to have to get onto it, is DACT. Did you ever get to fly against the Eagles, F-16s, Hornets? And if you did, how did the Tomcat fare in that dogfight arena?
Well, we basically trained a lot with the F-18s just because we had them in the air wing. Not a lot of hardcore visual maneuvering because that uses a lot of fuel, and you always have to be conscious of your fuel. Did a lot of intercepts against them. The radar that they had was very good against maneuvering targets. So kind of no matter what maneuvers we would do to try to defeat them or whatever. And this is the old. We actually had A model F-18s in my first air wing, but still very good. The guys who flew them were very competent, very good aviators, solid radar. Its detection range was very short, so we could kind of loiter outside their detection range, but for us to get close to them, they had good coverage. We're able to handle our maneuvers. Our strengths were we could see them far away, but we weren't always as good when they would start maneuvering. So a little bit of strategy, cat and mouse, very good training for the radar intercept officers. Only once do I recall doing DACT against F-16s, and that was when we were off the Korean Peninsula, and I believe it was the F-16s out of Osan, but it might have been Kunsan. They're all over the place over there. And we did one day, we only got one engagement with them. It was mostly beyond visual range. It wasn't particularly memorable. It didn't break down to visual engagements. Then when we sailed south one time, we trained with the F-15s from Kadena Air Force Base. And did a lot of visual engagements with them. And the Tomcat was very capable against the Eagle in the visual arena. The Eagle a little bit higher turn rate, but it was a hard wing airplane. It doesn't have leading edge flaps and slats. So if you got the airplane slow, our aircraft handled better slower because of being optimized for landing on the ship. So if you get an Eagle slow, you could generally do some good work against them. But their whole thing was they wanted to engage beyond visual range, and at most it emerged would be some kind of slashing attack. But if you could get them to turn and get them slow, we could generally do good work against an F-15.
So did you work with with the RAF or any other European nations when you were on the Tomcat?
No, even on my second deployment, I did 2 more deployments. I switched over to Fighter Squadron 213 at the end of my first deployment. Never had any real contact with them. And that came later when I was on the exchange tour. We did have a very unique opportunity. So with the first Tomcat squadron I was in, VF-111, that entire air wing decommissioned as soon as we got home. So we got home the day before Christmas Eve, and the air wing basically decommissioned the end of the year. It was still kind of around, but it didn't exist officially anymore. A long story that I won't get into, but I volunteered to go immediately for Squadron 213. I was home about 2 weeks, maybe 3, not less than that. And then went on 1 month of workups with them, was home for a couple of weeks, and then deployed again in the spring of 1995. And that time we did go to Southwest Asia, to the Northern Arabian Gulf, the Persian Gulf. And an interesting opportunity came up. So the ship was scheduled to pull into port at Jebel Ali in Dubai at the United Arab Emirates. And the State Department sent some representatives out to the ship and said, hey, we would really like to get one of your squadrons or part of one of your squadrons to go into Abu Dhabi, to the Air Force Base in Abu Dhabi, and train and do dissimilar air combat training while the aircraft carrier is in port. And this got to be kind of an interesting discussion because everybody's like, hey, we're ready to go to port. We want to go, booze, lay by the pool, get some rest and relaxation. You don't know to go to work. And I'm like, hey, I want to go to work. I'd love to go. So there was a handful of us. We took several F-14s, flew into Abu Dhabi. I forget the name of the Air Force base there. It might have been Al Dhafra. And turned out to be one of the greatest experiences of my life. It was absolutely first class. They put us up in a nice hotel on the beach. We got 85, I think it was dirham is their currency. And they gave us 85 dirham cash every day. We would literally slip an envelope underneath this was everybody, the officers, the enlisted, everybody that went on this deployment. And we were only there a week. And so the first morning you get up and you've got 85 dirham. We had no idea what this is. We didn't know if this bought us a Coke or a car. It didn't really mean anything. So you go down into the hotel and they've got a breakfast buffet set out for us. So we eat, we load on these buses and we go to the Air Force Base. And then they feed us lunch on the Air Force Base. So now we get back in the evening, after we've been flying all day, and we've got 85 dirham in our pocket. We don't know what this is, what is this good for? So we decide, hey, we can, we haven't spent any money today. We can afford to kind of go to this nice restaurant. So we went to one of the nicer restaurants not too far from the hotel there in Abu Dhabi. And we're like, we find out like we're ordering, like these unbelievable steaks and everything. And they're like 20 dirham. And like we were getting 85 a day, and we're out there just having like the time. We thought we were tycoons. It was like the greatest thing in the world. And the next morning you'd wake up hungover usually, and there's another envelope full of 85 dirham.
That's amazing.
Comes under the door. Yeah, and then we'd go out to the Air Force Base and fly daytime DACT against Mirage F-1s and 2000s. Against and got to know those guys. They treated us wonderful hospitality. It was always challenging flying with them and debriefing based on what we could tell them or not tell them. They'd like say, "Oh, at what range did you shoot us with your Phoenix?" It's like, we're not going to have the Phoenix discussion. So we had to keep the tactics very rudimentary, but apparently the visit was very well received. They threw a huge feast for us at the end of it. And subsequently, in the UAE had been evaluating Su-27s, MiG-29s, more Mirage 2000s, or F-16s. And subsequently, they ended up buying F-16s. And apparently a big part of that was that we had gone in there and spent time with them, and they really enjoyed that.